Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Blue Six Tarot. I'm your fantastic host Blue Six. Thank you very much for watching. Now, as you can tell, tarot fans, I've just hit that point, just really kind of down. We're all down. We're on like week 4 and everyone's talking about a few more weeks of this. I'm miserable. To be fair, I'm miserable. And so what I thought I'd do, being English, I'd find something else to complain about instead. And I found a deck of cards I can complain about. Makes me feel better. So without further ado, roll on that intro. Okay, now over the time I've been reviewing tarot cards, I've not really come across a deck I've truly disliked until I came across these, the Royal Tarot. Now, before I actually go into a bit of detail, we'll do the standard without the old tape measure. And it is 4.5 inches by 2.5 inches. Fine, no issue with that. The box itself it comes in is kind of plain, thin cardboard. You wouldn't really want to get this sort of thing damp. Now, the only thing that it shows you with the artwork is the Wheel of Fortune, which doesn't look great, but it's okay. And on the front here you just have the actual artwork for the back. So that's the outside of the box. Now, there is no actual book that comes with this, at least not in this version that I picked up myself. So it's a very lightweight box. The cards themselves, that's sort of the artwork you have on the background. The cards themselves feel okay. They don't spread too badly. They spread quite nicely. But that's about it. Everything else you're about to see is going to be bad. And first off, I do not recommend anyone own this deck at all. But anyway, we'll move on to a little breakdown and see how this goes. Okay, now first off, the artwork itself isn't great. I don't hate it. It's I don't want to say it's tolerable, but it's okay. I mean, I couldn't do any better, but I'd probably try and do a bit more, to be fair. But there are some art design things I don't think is too bad. So looking at the Fool, I like the fact he's a little clown, and with the little dog there. Nice bright colours, not too bad. As I said, the artwork is, compared to other decks, the artworks are quite weak, which is kind of okay if you were to think, well, I'm a beginner. I wouldn't recommend these to beginners for reasons we'll get into later, but the artwork's passable. In fact, one of the things I kind of liked about this is the style of artwork. I found it a bit charming. Nothing great, but it's okay. For example, the Devil being green in this, or the Baphomet being green in this, and well, a classic turn, nice little talons there. Not really much of the High Priestess, except for the fact that she looks like she's on water. But you know, stuff like that, little turns, little artistic flares and turns look okay. I don't think they're too bad. I would think that the death card being in hell, probably a bit much, but I like it. The world, not a great card, but as I said, these cards are kind of passable. Now, obviously, the artists on here aren't exactly aren't great with faces. Let's be fair. Now, on the box, there's no actual descriptor of the artist, so I always just go by what comes up in the box. But all I'm going to say is, at the moment, this is the best part of this deck, the majors. And once again, we're just going to keep slowly going down this hill. Okay, so for me, this is where this entire deck starts falling apart. And when you think about it, when we're talking about the minors and the court cards, you're talking about 2/3 of the deck. So you can already see it's not great. So as you can see with the aces, they're all very standard. Nothing particularly special about those. The only thing that kind of bugs me is, for some reason, why the wands look like they're pickles or gherkins. I don't get that. I don't know why the clubs have to be green. It makes no sense. And it looks even worse when you actually see the court cards. But as aces go, these are kind of standard. They look okay. They don't look great, but they look okay. But this deck does one thing I always hate. It's when you get the standard pips. So I've picked the 10 for each one only because it won't make any difference which ones I choose from the other minors. There are just literally 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. There is nothing really that stands out. So if you are a Marseille reader and you're all into numerology, this would probably be a better style for you. But for like a standard reader who doesn't necessarily do these types of cards well, just don't bother. As I said, this is still going to get worse, and the only way it gets better is when it ends. So this is kind of, there's not really much else to say to these other than why are these green? And I said the artwork looks fine, but that's not. But these will. I always find these a letdown, especially when there's nothing in particular adding to them. So, for example, with the Kawaii Tarot, even though they still had like a couple of coins just dotted about, there was still something with the picture. There was still something to add a bit of context rather than just it being plain 1 coin, 2 coins, 3 coins, etc. And now we're going to go to the biggest reason I hate this deck. Now, at first glance, you'll think, why do I have duplicates of the same card? Then you'll take a closer look and notice that these are different court cards of different suits. So we've got the Page of Swords and the Page of Cups. Knight of Pentacles, Knight of Wands. Queen of Swords, Queen of Cups, King of Pentacles, King of Wands. Now, the other thing you might think is, oh, okay, well, that's really lazy. All they've done is just done a copy of the same picture and just put something else in their hand. But one thing you may notice outside of the obvious. So he's holding a sword there and he's got his little card placements on his knees there. And here he's got his chalice and he's got his hearts on his knees. But on closer inspection, if you look at the faces properly, you'll notice these aren't a reprint. This person literally drew the picture of one, then just did the other, then another picture. These aren't it's weird in its laziness. So they didn't just reprint and just change little bits of detail. The person drew one picture, drew the other one, almost identical except for what's in their hand. So they're not lazy in repeating itself, but it's still lazy. They've put a lot of work in their laziness. I don't know why the knight has to be holding such a large gherkin, and obviously that looks even worse with the king. And there is literally outside of the object they are holding, there is no difference at all. Now, if you're a sort of person who likes to do intuitive reading, which is essentially reading the card and picking out and kind of noticing the differences, you can't, outside of textbook, which this version does not come with, outside of the standard textbook, you won't really know the difference. The Queen is still looking off to the side. Contextually, you can kind of go, well, she might be, this one she's fed up and wants to make her own decisions. This one she might be just like fed up in love, but you can't actually see any real difference, any significant difference that will make these. These are just the worst. This is like there's still another deck I'm planning to cover in future, which is a deck that also annoys me, but that deck will not annoy me as much as this. This is the worst deck I've ever had the displeasure of owning. I'll still keep it as a reminder of the worst, in the same way you still keep a DVD you don't like just because you remember how much you hate it. But yeah, I mean, look at that gherkin between his legs. And how those legs look like they're fading in. You can't tell where his leg starts and the chair begins. But these are just really bad. I'd seen bits of artwork of this previously over the years, and I thought, yeah, I'd be interested. One day it came into my charity shop / Goodwill, picked them up, bought them, got them home, and immediately regretted it. But I keep these for you, my fine friend, for my fine tarot readers and collectors. Do not buy this deck. Do not own this. This is not suitable for beginners, and it's not suitable for collectors unless you like collecting bad things. So this has been my review of the Royal Tarot. Avoid this like the plague. And also, yeah, just there are so many better decks to get. There are just so many nicer things to own. Do not get these. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You stay home and stay safe, and I'll see you again soon.